This story begins amidst a scene of utter devastation, common as that may be in certain tales. The city is engulfed in flames, its skyline ravaged by war. In the skies, armies clash with alien forces, their weapons scorching the heavens. On the ground, colossal monsters rampage through the streets, feasting on fleeing civilians as though they were mere prey. Suddenly, a beast of unimaginable proportions emerges. Its massive form blocks out the sun, plunging the battlefield into darkness. Yet, for reasons inexplicable, its presence feels strangely familiar, almost comforting. Our protagonist steps forward, drawn to this towering entity as though peering into a mirror. He senses that he and this gargantuan creature are somehow one and the same. Without hesitation, the colossal beast turns on the encroaching monsters and releases a devastating energy beam from its maw, an attack reminiscent of Godzilla's legendary breath. Witnessing this display, the terrified humans cowering below feel an unexpected surge of hope. They know that something this powerful is now on their side. From atop the city's ruins, our protagonist understands that, in time, the world will revere him as a deity, a savior who commands this awe-inspiring creature. Humanity's hope rests with him. Yet this extraordinary destiny did not arise overnight. Only a few months earlier, the news had been filled with bizarre events. On June the 2nd, 2224, Ning City Zoo was reportedly attacked by a serpent over 100 meters in length, its species unknown to experts. Around the same time, several citizens captured video of a whale-like colossus drifting through the northern skies, igniting widespread alarm. Internationally wanted criminals had also surfaced in Ning City. All of this breaking news played on a television in a quiet room, where our protagonist, Chen Chu, lay unconscious and bleeding atop a table. Curiously, Chen could see himself lying there, as though he were detached from his body. Puzzled, he turned to face a nearby mirror, only to encounter an even greater shock. He now appeared as a sea iguana. Chen Chu, a sophomore at Ning University who preferred renting a place off campus to avoid dorm life, had always been fascinated by reptiles and amphibians, drawn to their vibrant coloration. That very day, he had visited his usual pet store, intrigued by a new batch of exotic creatures. Among them was a sea iguana, known for its generally docile disposition. But fate took a sudden turn. The moment the iguana was set free, it shattered its enclosure and sank its teeth into Chen's hand, causing him excruciating pain. Acting on instinct, Chen struck the iguana's head with his phone. Startled, the creature released its grip, but not before knocking the phone back into Chen's head with its tail. In that strange, shared moment, both human and iguana lost consciousness. When Chen finally awakened, he found the sea iguana before him. Something fundamental had changed between them. To his astonishment, raising his hand prompted the iguana to mirror his movement perfectly. It was as if he could control the creature's body as easily as his own arm. He grinned, considering that this might be his so-called golden finger, the special ability that so often heralds a hero's journey. But as he reflected further, a wave of disappointment settled in. Others who acquire such gifts often become world-shaking villains or transcendent beings. Meanwhile, he was saddled with a modest lizard. As he brooded, both his stomach and the iguana's rumbled in unison. Chen realized he had been unconscious all day and was now desperately hungry. He wondered what a sea iguana might eat. The curious reptile clambered onto his hand as he contemplated. Reasoning that a carnivorous lizard would likely enjoy meat, Chen retrieved a steak from his refrigerator and prepared it to a perfect medium rare. The iguana's eyes gleamed at the sight, and it eagerly devoured the meal. Chen smiled, relieved. "I knew it," he said softly. Sea iguanas and lizards both enjoy meat. Just as the sea iguana happily tucked into its meal, a sudden system notification appeared before Chen's eyes. After finishing its meal, the system displayed a notification. Your clone has received 5 evolution points, and your constitution has increased by 0.5. Chen was stunned. Before he could fully comprehend what was happening, a comprehensive status window appeared before him, his very own system panel. He examined the details carefully. Chen's current status indicated that he was at level 0 Bach, with a constitution of 8.5 and a spirit of 12 less. He possessed a Bao mind control talent, as well as external aura and key perception hurries. Traits, both at the beginner level with How 1000 hard experience. His skill set included Extremities Boxing, beginner 48 points, Stepping Cloud Jump, beginner 66 points, and Springing Leg, beginner 39 points. Furthermore, he had a single clone, the sea iguana. Its evolution had yet to begin, requiring 200 points for the first stage, and currently holding 5 points gained from the meal. Chen was astonished, unsure if this system was the true nature of his newfound abilities. He focused on his displayed skills, and this brought back memories of his past. During his childhood, Chen's father had rigorously trained him in martial arts. His father would say that if Chen only practiced the forms without understanding the fundamentals, he would achieve nothing. The strength had to come from his feet, rise through his thighs, and center in his abdomen. These training sessions lasted 10 to 12 hours a day, exhausting Chen's young body. Whenever Chen asked to rest, his father refused, insisting that giving up halfway was cowardly, and Chen never wanted to be a coward. Day after day, Chen ran until he collapsed, and even when he fell or got hurt, his father never helped him up. He only reminded Chen that no one else would assist him when he grew older. Then, one day when Chen was 10, his father handed him a box, their entire savings, saying he had to embark on a long journey. Chen had to walk his own path from then on. That day, for the first time, his father gently patted his head and reminded him never to neglect his martial arts training. Someday, when strong enough, Chen would see the world's other side. Chen asked how he might find his father again, but his father only said that once Chen reached the rank of Grandmaster, though by then he himself might no longer be around. With that, his father left and never returned. A decade passed since that day, and recalling these memories made Chen emotional. He looked at an old photograph of his parents, feeling the weight of the time that had slipped by. While he was lost in thought, the sea iguana had finished every scrap of steak. Chen marveled at how quickly the creature ate. After it finished, its body began glowing a faint red, and to Chen's surprise, the iguana appeared slightly larger. Checking the status window, he saw that the sea iguana's evolution points had increased to 15. This revelation astonished Chen. The iguana had gained 10 points from a single meal. As he tried to understand the system's mechanics, something else caught his eye. Glancing into a mirror, Chen noticed that his own physique had changed dramatically. He now sported defined 8-pack abs, something he certainly did not have before. It dawned on him that the iguana's gains were somehow transferring to him as well. Chen looked at the sea iguana, imagining its potential. If it could evolve after amassing more points, perhaps it could eventually transform into the colossal behemoth from his dreams. The thought excited him. With the help of this system, he could truly become a martial arts grandmaster, just as his father had urged him all those years ago. The following day at the marketplace, Chen purchased 10 pounds of prime, boneless beef and 20 pounds of lean, boneless pork. After scanning the QR code to pay, he loaded the supplies into the back of his car, reasoning that it would be enough for the next few days. Wasting no time, he headed straight back to his apartment. There, Chen showcased his culinary skills, preparing an array of exquisite dishes for the sea iguana. The creature's eyes lit up at the sight of the feast, and it devoured every plate in mere seconds. Establishing a mental link with the iguana, Chen discovered that while it enjoyed the pork, it preferred the beef's flavor. Disconnecting from the link, Chen felt slightly fatigued by the brief connection. Stretching, he remarked, "A bit more cumin would improve that beef dish. I'll remember that next time." After eating, the sea iguana took a nap, wearing its sunglasses in a carefree manner. Meanwhile, Chen proceeded to his martial arts room to train. He struck the punching bag with all his strength, deforming it significantly. A system notification informed him that his extremities boxing skill had gained 5 experience points. Chen smiled, pleased that both his constitution and training efficiency had improved. Over the course of 2 days, his rigorous practice destroyed 2 punching bags, and the third didn't fare much better. Although fatigued, he relished the feeling of becoming stronger simply by working hard. Before ending his session, Chen delivered a powerful kick that broke the chains holding the bag, sending it flying. After only 3 days of training, his attributes had grown considerably. Extremities, boxing, advanced to the intermediate level, and both stepping cloud jump and springing leg had gained additional strength. Furthermore, his sea iguana clone had accumulated 195 evolution points, just 5 points short of its first evolution. Examining his status window, Chen noted with satisfaction, from a traditional martial arts perspective, "I should be at the peak of the Ming realm now." He recalled his father's teachings. Martial arts were divided into 3 realms: Ming, Dark, and Transformation. A Ming realm peak practitioner could easily handle 10 foes alone, while those who reached the Dark realm ranked among first-rate experts, capable of defeating 100 opponents. They often belonged to legendary families. The rarest were Transformation realm masters, grandmasters recorded in ancient texts, rumored to possess unbreakable bodies. Chen remembered a conversation from his youth. He had asked his father which realm he had reached. His father admitted to having briefly entered the Dark realm, though his demeanor darkened at the memory. Young Chen, unaware of his father's pain, asked if he was from one of those legendary families. Shocked, his father simply replied that he was just from Luotuan, and said no more. Back in the present, afternoon sunlight streamed into the apartment. Chen left the martial arts room and found the sea iguana sprawled on the sofa. It had grown noticeably over the past 3 days, and now only needed 5 more points to evolve. "One more meal, and you'll be ready to evolve," Chen said, hoping not to be disappointed by the results. He prepared another lavish spread and fed it to the iguana. As the creature ate, its evolution points steadily rose, reaching 199. Eager to witness the transformation, Chen reconnected to the sea iguana. The moment its evolution points hit 200, a system notification appeared. "Your clone, the sea iguana, has met the evolution requirements. Evolution will now begin." Just as the notification appeared, lightning-like energy surged through the iguana's left arm. The sudden, intense pain forced the iguana to writhe, and since Chen was still connected, he felt an identical agony in his own left hand. Both Chen and the sea iguana collapsed onto the floor, writhing in pain as the creature's body underwent its painful metamorphosis. Spines sprouted along the iguana's back, its body lengthened, and thick, protective scales spread across its skin. Driven to agony by these rapid changes, the sea iguana thrashed wildly about the room, destroying anything in its path. After a few minutes, the agony subsided. Lying on the ground, Chen was astonished by the intensity of the pain. He never imagined that evolution could hurt so severely. Slowly getting up, he caught sight of the newly evolved sea iguana, now roughly the size of a crocodile. Intrigued by its transformation, Chen wanted to test its new strength. At his command, the iguana whipped its tail at a punching bag. The force of its strike caused the bag to explode, scattering fragments across the room. Chen nodded, impressed by the iguana's extraordinary new power. Simultaneously, he checked his status window and discovered that his own attributes had increased again. His constitution had doubled. His spirit had risen by 2 points, and his external aura and chi perception had both grown stronger. After completing its first evolution, the sea iguana now required 1,000 evolution points for the next stage. Surveying his status window, Chen was both surprised and contemplative. He hadn't expected that the clone's evolution would so directly enhance his own physique and abilities. Was his current improvement merely because he was initially weak, or would his constitution always double after each evolution? If it was the latter, it would be truly terrifying. By traditional martial arts standards, Chen realized he had just entered the Dark Realm. No small achievement. He activated the traits that allowed him to project external energy, marveling at the red aura emanating from his body. He was now officially a martial arts expert. From analyzing this energy, Chen concluded that with training, achieving about 100 skill experience points per day was his upper limit. Since the improvements were mirrored, he would need to rely on the sea iguana to push himself further. Re-establishing his mental connection with the creature, he found that when he unleashed his external energy, the iguana did the same. Chen was astonished. The iguana could replicate even his aura. Suddenly, the iguana grew alert, directing its gaze toward the main door. Someone was knocking. Chen hadn't expected a visitor. He deactivated his aura and cautiously opened the door to find a muscular man who looked quite angry, at least initially. The moment the man saw Chen, however, he began trembling. Even though Chen had withdrawn his energy, the lingering presence and faint aura had rattled the visitor. Trying to appear friendly, the muscular man complained about noise upstairs and asked if Chen was undergoing renovations. Chen feigned ignorance and apologized, saying there were no renovations, only some training sessions that apparently made more noise than he realized. Hearing that all the commotion was merely Chen's training, the man grew even more fearful. From behind Chen, he glimpsed the room's interior, which looked as if it had been hit by an earthquake. Everything inside smashed beyond recognition. Swallowing hard, the man realized it would be unwise to provoke Chen any further. He quickly excused himself, asking only if Chen could choose a quieter training method next time. Chen apologized again and agreed to adjust. The man thanked him and hurried into the elevator, desperate to escape. Once the stranger left, the sea iguana emerged from hiding. It had stayed concealed at Chen's command. Chen smiled, relieved that the situation had been resolved peacefully, and aware that he needed to be more careful in the future. After confirming that everything was in order and that the muscular stranger had not discovered the sea iguana, Chen closed the door. Glancing at his now crocodile-sized clone, he realized that keeping such a large creature indoors was no longer feasible. It was time to release it into the sea. Chen drove to the nearest beach, ensuring that the area was deserted before opening the car door to let the sea iguana out. Although it was a sea iguana, this was its first time experiencing the ocean in reality. Establishing a mental link, Chen guided the iguana's body into the water. Once submerged, Chen activated his energy sense. Within a 10-meter radius, he could discern countless marine creatures. As he explored this underwater world, he spotted a 5-eyed fish swimming nearby. Shocked by its bizarre appearance, Chen decided to make it his first prey. Stealthily closing in, he launched an attack. Startled, the mutant fish darted into a hole on the ocean floor. Without hesitation, Chen followed. When the fish suddenly attempted a surprise counterattack, Chen struck first, sinking the iguana's sharp teeth into the fish's stomach. After killing and devouring it, a system notification informed Chen that his clone had gained 10 evolution points, and Chen's own physique had increased by 1. Chen was pleasantly surprised. Since the iguana's evolution, a normal meal would yield only 1 evolution point, yet this mutated fish had provided 10. It confirmed his suspicions that the world, with recent unsettling news, was far from peaceful. As he continued to roam, he encountered a 10-eyed fish, defeated it, and earned more evolution points. After several hours of hunting, Chen received a system message stating that his clone had reached the daily cap of 100 evolution points and could not gain more that day. He was amazed by the underwater scene he witnessed through the iguana's eyes. What appeared cold and dark at night to humans was actually vibrant and full of life to his clone. Although amphibious, the iguana still relied on lungs to breathe and needed to resurface occasionally. During his exploration, Chen discovered a large fissure in the ocean floor, leading to an underwater cave filled with air. He decided to let the iguana rest there. Disconnecting his mental link, Chen concluded, "The clone is settled now. Time for me to head back." On his drive home, Chen's attention was suddenly drawn to a solitary house in the middle of a forest. He was surprised anyone would live there. Just as he was about to pass by, he heard a distant plea for help. Relying on his enhanced hearing, he realized something was amiss. To avoid alerting any potential wrongdoers, he continued driving, pretending not to have noticed. This caution proved wise. Inside the house, 2 thugs, one bald and one with blue hair, were watching Chen's car closely. They had kidnapped a girl whose screams Chen had heard. A third thug with black hair was inside, struggling to keep the victim quiet. The bald thug kicked the black-haired one, scolding him, "I told you to watch her. Didn't you notice the cloth fell out of her mouth?" The black-haired thug defended himself. "It's pitch dark out here. How could I have noticed when we dragged her in?" The bald thug grudgingly acknowledged that it wasn't entirely his subordinate's fault. Unbeknownst to them, Chen had overheard the call for help and taken note. While he continued on his way, his mind was already strategizing how to handle this dire situation. The black-haired thug shoved a cloth back into the girl's mouth, threatening her to keep quiet, or else he would let his companions enjoy themselves that night. The girl, terrified and helpless, had no idea that her savior had already arrived. Chen approached the house on foot, ensuring that the thugs wouldn't be alerted by a vehicle. He activated his energy sense, which worked like an X-ray vision, allowing him to see inside the house and count how many people were present. He observed 2 thugs drinking inside, a girl tied up with ropes, and another thug standing by the main door, snacking and busy on his phone. From the scene, Chen realized this was likely a kidnapping or human trafficking situation. There were 3 men total, and 2 of them were armed with knives. Chen decided he must incapacitate them within a minute. Gathering all his energy, he smashed through the front door. Startled, the thugs drew their knives, but Chen gave them no chance to strike. He immediately kicked the black-haired thug in the stomach, sending him flying into a wall. The bald thug, cursing, leaped to attack Chen from behind. Chen spun around at lightning speed and struck the bald thug's chest with his elbow. The force of the blow shattered the thug's ribs and sent him hurtling backwards. The third thug, the blue-haired one called Ning Fu, caught the bald thug before he could hit the ground, telling him to catch his breath. Ning Fu then stepped forward, adopting a martial arts stance and announcing his technique as Yue Wang Fist. He asked Chen to show him his own style. Chen took up the posture of the martial art his father had taught him, declaring it as Luo Tuan 8 Extremities Boxing. Their battle commenced. Ning Fu launched the first move of Yue Wang Fist, Tou Lu Fist, aiming at Chen's face. Chen easily blocked the punch and pulled Ning Fu closer, attempting a face kick. Ning Fu blocked the kick with his leg and countered with Yue Wang Fist's second move, Two Horses Joined Tang, landing a solid punch to Chen's face. Chen felt the strike's power and realized Ning Fu was no ordinary thug. As Chen staggered, Ning Fu seemed confident, but Chen managed to keep his footing, and now Ning Fu was within his range. Surprised that Chen was still standing, Ning Fu hesitated momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, Chen unleashed the 8 Extremities Boxing's Iron Mountain Slam technique with his shoulder. The tremendous impact sent Ning Fu crashing to the ground. Yet, lying there, Ning Fu grinned, finding the situation intriguing. He stood up, admitting he never expected to meet a true Luotuan 8 Extremities disciple after coming down from the mountain. Ning Fu praised the Iron Mountain Slam, saying it deserved its reputation. Chen, however, shook his head, calling it a shame that a Yue Wang Fist practitioner had fallen to such a crooked path. Ning Fu sneered, mocking Chen's high-minded attitude. "You're just a student who doesn't know better," he spat. "Out in the real world, if you want to get ahead, you must do whatever it takes." With that, Ning Fu abandoned his martial techniques and attempted a dirty move, trying to jab Chen's eyes with his fingers. Chen reacted instantly, kicking Ning Fu's face and sending him sprawling. With all 3 kidnappers defeated, Chen's adrenaline subsided, and he slumped to the floor, acknowledging the danger of battles between martial artists. Ning Fu's pressure far exceeded that of any number of muscular men. Looking at his fist, Chen realized his control over his own strength was still lacking, resulting in severe injuries to his opponents. He resolved to improve his precision in the future. With the thugs disabled, the girl, still tied and gagged, tried to get Chen's attention by making muffled sounds. Chen freed her from the ropes. Terrified, she hugged him tightly. Chen comforted her, saying, "It's all right now. Don't be afraid." Grateful, but still shaken, she thanked him. Once she calmed down a bit, Chen handed her a phone and instructed her to call the police after he left. He told her to tell the police that she didn't get a good look at him and didn't know who he was. The young woman, quite beautiful, nodded and agreed not to reveal his identity. 10 minutes later, the police arrived and surrounded the entire place. Officers stormed inside, ordering the criminals to put their hands up. They were shocked to find the 3 kidnappers already down, with only the victim standing there. The scene then shifts to the security agency's police headquarters, where Officer Guanqing reported to her deputy chief. She explained that clear footprints were found on the broken door, based on the door's flight, flung 3 meters away, and the snapped axle. The force applied was at least 1,000 kilograms. Guanqing showed the deputy chief photos from the scene. 2 kidnappers had died instantly, and the third was in a vegetative state due to a severe concussion. According to the victim, Lin Rongya, her rescuer wore a mask at night, so she couldn't identify him. The deputy chief was baffled. Even top boxers at their peak only managed around 800 kilograms of force on a punching machine. Achieving over 1,000 kilograms in a real situation was unheard of. Guanqing agreed, noting this man's strength was inhuman, and given the increasingly strange events of late, nothing could be taken for granted anymore. While they were talking, a sudden thunderclap echoed above the city. The deputy chief glanced out the window and muttered, "A storm is coming." He wasn't referring to the weather, but the dark forces threatening to disrupt the city's peace. Meanwhile, after rescuing a girl, Chen drove to a lakeside, his attention drawn to a small boat anchored nearby. 3 men disembarked from the boat, 2 shirtless thugs, and a well-dressed man with black hair who exuded a businesslike demeanor. One of the thugs addressed the man as boss and complained, "We barely made 2 million from that sunken ship, and you already spent 1 million on some woman from Bald Tiger. Isn't that too extravagant?" The other thug chimed in, agreeing, "It took so long to dig up that ship, and we barely made any profit." The black-haired man scoffed and called them short-sighted. "Do you even know who that woman is?" "Money won't be an issue once we have her," he said confidently. His words brightened the thugs' moods. The boss then inquired about the shipping company setup. One thug assured him, "Don't worry, I've already arranged everything, a high-end office building, as per your request." The other thug added, "I also hired the prettiest secretaries and front desk staff through a headhunting firm. You won't be disappointed." The black-haired man smiled. "With my underwater breathing ability, we'll recover treasures from sunken ships and make as much money as we want. Stick with me, and you'll never starve." Their conversation was interrupted when something moved in the trees behind them, startling the group. The black-haired man drew a knife and shouted, "Who's there?" Chen stepped out from behind a tree and remarked, "I've seen my share of scumbags, but you're something special." Infuriated, the black-haired man lunged at Chen with his knife, shouting, "You've got a lot of nerve, but people like you don't live long." Little did he know that Chen was a martial artist. Chen focused his energy into a powerful kick, shattering the ground and sending the man flying into the air. As the man landed, Chen disarmed him with a swift blow, then delivered a crushing kick to his stomach, slamming him into a tree. The 2 remaining thugs were paralyzed with fear. One stammered, "Impossible! The boss became superhuman after awakening his power. He can easily defeat 5 men." The other added, "This isn't good. Let's get out of here." Before they could flee, Chen knocked them unconscious with precise strikes. Turning back to the black-haired man, Chen activated his mind control ability. Gazing into the man's eyes, he demanded, "What's your name and what do you do?" The man's pupils glowed purple as he replied, "My name is Zhang Changshu. I own a ship and make a living smuggling goods. A month ago, I awakened the ability to breathe underwater." Chen smirked, realizing his mind control was highly effective. Zhang continued, explaining how he raided sunken ships and sold treasures to wealthy clients. Satisfied with the information, Chen released him from control. As the effect faded, Zhang clutched his broken hand in agony and cried, "Boss, what happened to my hand?" Chen feigned ignorance, replying, "You broke it accidentally." Zhang nodded submissively. "I understand, boss." Chen recognized that the mind control had altered Zhang's perception, making him obedient. Using his ability again, Chen controlled the 2 unconscious thugs, finding it easier to dominate their weaker minds. Later, on the ship Zhang had mentioned, a man in glasses asked Zhang, "Who's this guy?" Zhang responded, "He's our boss. Show some respect." The crew greeted Chen respectfully. Zhang then instructed the glasses-wearing man to prepare a transfer contract for the ship, which was quickly completed. After signing the document, Chen instructed the injured Zhang to accompany him to the hospital. The next morning, Chen resumed his training while his sea iguana hunted in the ocean. The iguana, a natural predator, devoured numerous sea creatures, gaining evolution points. As Chen trained in the gym, he noticed his own physical strength improving, a result of the iguana's progress. He vowed to rely on both his training and his clone's evolution to grow stronger. Later that afternoon, Chen visited the office to finalize the ship transfer. Elated at the successful acquisition, he planned to send his sea iguana to explore deeper waters. Knowing that he wasn't the only person with superpowers in the world, he needed to grow stronger, especially with unknown dangers lurking in the ocean's depths. The following day, the ship ventured into the deep sea for fishing. 2 of Zhang's former thugs, now under Chen's control, managed the nets. One commented, "There's barely any fish lately." The other speculated, "Maybe there's a school of big fish, or sharks, down there." LR sharks often move in groups, and even killer whales have to be cautious around them. Smaller fish instinctively flee from their presence. Beneath a nearby ship, a group of great white sharks roamed the deep waters. Chen's sea iguana, trailing the ship into deeper seas, soon encountered the sharks. The moment they spotted the sea iguana, the sharks launched an attack. One of the great whites clamped its jaws around the iguana, attempting to devour it. However, as soon as it bit down, the iguana raised its spikes, piercing the shark fatally. Seeing this, the other sharks scattered in fear. The sea iguana began devouring the dead shark's body, gaining 10 evolution points. Chen, connected to the iguana and sharing its senses, tasted the shark meat himself and found it surprisingly tender. After finishing the shark, Chen received a system notification. His clone had met the evolution requirement. He could now choose to evolve the sea iguana. Slightly surprised but eager, Chen confirmed the evolution. The iguana surfaced from the water, and its transformation began. Lightning coursed through its body as it writhed in pain. Simultaneously, in the gym, Chen felt the same excruciating pain and collapsed. Opening his stats window, Chen realized he had leveled up to level 1. His constitution increased to 130, and his spirit rose to 38. His beginner traits, external aura and chi perception, now had 280 experience points. Skills like 8 extremities, boxing, stepping cloud jump, and tan leg technique had also advanced, each reaching intermediate levels with over 290 experience points. The sea iguana evolved into a scale-armored, spiny lizard, a newborn ferocious beast, striving to become a beast lord. It had undergone 2 evolutions, and now required 5,000 points for the next transformation. It also gained the ability Water Affinity. Chen's own body became more muscular, and his constitution was now 13 times that of an average person. He had achieved a level equivalent to the Dark Realm's great success in ancient martial arts. However, Chen was slightly disappointed that his constitution didn't double like before. He deduced it was due to his higher base stats now. Curious about the iguana's new ability, Water Affinity, Chen connected to it and observed its enhanced physique. Its body had grown significantly larger, weighing 4 to 5 tons, with a bone density far superior to before. Its claws were now as tough as steel, and its explosive strength had doubled. Swimming speeds reached an incredible 70 kilometers per hour, faster than many large ships. Chen concluded that Water Affinity was responsible for its streamlined swimming and reduced water resistance. The next day, Chen contacted the Glasses guy to inquire about recent treasure hunting activities. The man reported that while a few locations of sunken ships had been identified, without Boss Zhang's underwater breathing ability, they couldn't proceed. Chen assured him, "Don't worry, I can handle that now." After reviewing the database, Chen discovered that many shallow water areas had already been explored. However, deep-sea locations still held numerous priceless treasures. He and the iguana headed 25 kilometers southeast into the Yellow Sea. Chen, now able to breathe underwater thanks to his connection with the iguana, explored the deep waters. His enhanced perception allowed him to sense his surroundings up to 20 kilometers away. Confident in his new abilities, he decided to finalize preparations before fully embarking on his treasure hunt. Later, Chen treated himself to a meal on Pedestrian Street near his home. While the meal cost over 3,000 yuan, almost a sixth of his savings, Chen remained optimistic. Soon, he would take over Boss Zhang's company and enjoy a luxurious lifestyle. For now, at least, he got a taste of wealth. On his way home, Chen noticed a girl lying unconscious on the ground, with 2 men standing over her. The scene didn't sit right with him. As a righteous man, Chen raised his voice and asked, "What are you doing?" With his growing strength and martial arts passion reignited, Chen felt confident stepping in, as long as there wasn't a real threat. The thugs turned to him angrily. One barked, "What did you just say?" The other pulled out a knife and sneered, "Kid, get lost now and I'll pretend I didn't see you." Chen didn't want to engage in a fight. His intent was simply to scare the thugs away. He released his aura, which manifested as a beast-like form invisible to the human eye, but overwhelming in pressure. The thugs froze in fear, confused by the sensation. One turned to the other and stammered, "Why does it feel like we're being stared down by a predator? Let's get out of here." Before they could flee, the woman they were harassing began to laugh, mockingly. "Are you seriously scared? Are you even real men?" she jeered. Chen frowned, wondering if the woman had lost her mind. Her provocation made the thugs reconsider their decision to leave. They exchanged glances, unwilling to let a woman think they were weak. Emboldened, one thug shouted, "There's no reason to fear him. He's just one guy." The other nodded in agreement. "Yeah, let's get him. This guy's too cocky, Chen sighed, frustrated. The situation had already been resolved, but now, thanks to the woman, a fight was unavoidable. Left with no choice, he assumed a martial arts stance. As the thugs charged, Chen delivered precise kicks to their stomachs, sending them flying. He had used only 10% of his strength. Anything more would have left them severely injured. Deciding to show mercy, he let them off with a warning. Terrified, the thugs scrambled to their feet and fled, calling Chen a demon straight out of hell. Once they were gone, the woman stood up, laughing like someone intoxicated. "You're amazing," she said, praising Chen's strength. Suspicious of her behavior, Chen wondered if she was under the influence of drugs. He immediately called the police, reporting her as a possibly compromised individual outside the Shengtang bar. While on the call, the woman approached him, teasing in a playful voice. "Why call the cops? Don't you think I'm pretty? Don't you want to take me home?" Chen ignored her, waiting for the authorities to arrive. A few minutes later, a group of officers arrived. One escorted the woman to their vehicle, while another took Chen's statement. Chen explained that he was out for a midnight snack when he encountered the situation. After thanking him, the police departed with the woman. With that matter resolved, Chen turned his focus back to his mission, locating a sunken ship. Using his connection to the giant lizard, he directed it to the coordinates provided by the glasses guy. As expected, the information was accurate. A sunken ship lay at the specified location. Activating his energy sensing ability, Chen began searching the wreckage, though his current sensing range was limited to 20 meters. Despite this limitation, he soon struck gold, literally. Among the wreckage were solid gold bars. Chen immediately instructed the glasses guy to move the ship 3 kilometers east and prepare a crate. While working, another crew member asked the glasses guy, "Besides Zhang Changshu, does anyone else on the boss's team have underwater breathing abilities?" "Stop prying into the boss's secrets," the glasses guy snapped. Once the crate was ready, the sea iguana loaded the gold bars onto it. After retrieving the loot, Chen ordered the iguana to continue exploring the wreck. Among the debris, he noticed a strange piece of metal embedded in the ship's wall. When the iguana attempted to cut it, its claws, capable of slicing through standard metal, barely left a mark. Intrigued, Chen concluded it must be a special alloy, and decided to take it back for further study. As the iguana surfaced with the alloy, a massive white snake-like fish ambushed it. The creature was enormous, with sharp teeth trying to tear into the iguana. Enraged, Chen thought, "Who do you think you are? You may be bigger, but you're no match for me." The sea iguana quickly overpowered the white fish, killing it effortlessly and devouring it. Chen smirked, noting that his clone's strength was truly unmatched in its domain. Later that night, Chen visited a deserted beach. Gazing at the rocks, he mused, "These reefs have been eroded by seawater for years, making them incredibly hard. This is the perfect place to test my strength." Clenching his fist, Chen struck a massive rock. The force of the impact reverberated through him, but thanks to his external shield absorbing most of the blow and his bone density, nearly 20 times that of a normal human, he felt only mild soreness. Smiling, Chen flexed his hand as the slight discomfort vanished almost instantly, thanks to his body's exceptional recovery abilities. "I've come a long way, but there's still much further to go," he thought, determined to keep pushing his limits. Chen continued practicing his boxing on the massive rock. After his recent evolution, his physique had surpassed a strength level of 200. Though he hadn't fully tested his capabilities, he estimated his punches now carried a force of at least 3,000 pounds. Or 1.5 tons. With the enhancement from his outer energy and the precision of his 8 extremities boxing technique, Chen knew he could punch straight through a person with ease. To test his full power, Chen unleashed a punch on the rock with all his strength. The result was as expected. The massive rock shattered into pieces with a single blow. Exhausted from the intense training, Chen collapsed onto the ground, catching his breath. He trained on this empty beach, because his punching bag at home wasn't durable enough to withstand his strength. The park was also out of the question. Modern technology made it too easy for someone to record him and post it online, which could lead to unwanted attention and trouble. The secluded beach was his only sanctuary to train freely without prying eyes. As Chen looked at his hands, he noticed that the scrapes from his training had already healed. He marveled at his insane recovery ability. "Just a minute of rest, and I'm already fully healed," he thought in disbelief. While examining his recovery, the sea iguana returned with the chunk of black metal it had recovered. Chen inspected the metal and noticed its irregular shape, gleaming with a metallic luster. At first glance, it didn't seem extraordinary, but when he attempted to lift it, he was stunned. It weighed close to 200 pounds. The metal was heavy, tough, and resistant to damage. Even the sea iguana's claws, which could slice through regular metal, had struggled to scratch it. Chen thought, this would be perfect for crafting a weapon. However, he knew his current skills weren't sufficient to forge a weapon worthy of the material. Setting the metal aside for now, he decided to deal with the gold bars first. Back on the ship, Chen asked the glasses guy about the loot. The glasses guy assured him that everything had been cleaned up and stored in the captain's cabin. He led Chen to the stash, where all the gold bars were neatly piled. The glasses guy, amazed at the sight, exclaimed, "I've never seen so much gold in my life! How much is this worth?" Chen examined the bars and noted that they lacked any markings, meaning they were privately minted. "We won't be able to sell these as antiques," Chen explained. The next day, after doing some research, Chen found a shop in bustling downtown that dealt in the black market. Upon entering, the receptionist greeted him warmly and asked, "Are you here to sell rings or necklaces?" Chen revealed the gold bars from his bag. "I'm selling these," he said. The receptionist, surprised by the quantity, asked him to follow her upstairs to meet the manager. The manager greeted Chen politely and asked for his name and the amount of gold he intended to sell. Chen introduced himself, opened his bag, and revealed the gold. Stunned by the sheer amount, the manager said, "We'll need to inspect the quality of these bars. Please wait a moment." While Chen waited on the sofa, the manager's staff got to work. After a thorough check, the manager returned and reported, "Your gold weighs a total of 11,250 grams. Since these bars are privately minted and not very pure, we can offer 400 yuan per gram. Does that work for you?" Chen knew privately minted gold was harder to sell and agreed to the deal. After completing the necessary paperwork, Chen received a message confirming that 4.5 million yuan had been credited to his account. As he left the shop and got into his car, Chen observed the people walking home from work or college. Reflecting on his situation, he thought, "Most people my age are still hustling through college, while I've just made millions from one adventure. It feels surreal, considering I've been poor my entire life." With his newfound wealth, Chen decided his first purchase would be a new car. His current vehicle, with its low chassis, was terrible on bumpy coastal roads. He drove straight to a luxury auto showroom, bringing the glasses guy along for advice. Together, they began looking for a suitable car for daily use. While they browsed, a black-haired man entered the showroom with a red-haired woman. Chen immediately recognized her. It was his ex-girlfriend. Back then, he had spent a fortune trying to win her over, but she abandoned him to chase wealth and status, choosing to live lavishly with rich men. The red-haired woman also spotted Chen and mocked him. Turning to her boyfriend, she said, "See that guy over there? That's the loser who used to chase after me." Her boyfriend laughed, sneering at Chen. "What's a broke college kid like you doing in a luxury car showroom?" he taunted. Hearing the black-haired boy's remarks, the glasses guy grew visibly angry and snapped, "Who are you calling broke?" Before things could escalate, Chen stopped him. "Don't waste your time on them," Chen said calmly. Seeing the glasses guy's anger, the black-haired boy smirked. "What? Are we not allowed to speak the truth? Aren't you just a broke college student? This isn't a place you can afford." The red-haired girl tugged on her boyfriend's sleeve. "Don't waste time on him. Let's go look at cars." She walked over to a red luxury car and pointed it out to her boyfriend. "I want this one," she said confidently. Her boyfriend hesitated, visibly uncomfortable. The price tag on the car was astronomical, and although he liked to flaunt wealth to impress women, his spending allowance barely reached tens of thousands a month. "Let me take a closer look at it for you," he stammered, trying to buy time while inwardly panicking. Meanwhile, Chen was inspecting a white car. "This car has a high chassis and can carry heavy loads," he thought. "It meets all my needs." Turning to the saleswoman, he said, "I'll take this one. I'll pay in full." The saleswoman, surprised by his decisiveness, informed him, "This car costs 2.38 million yuan. Will you be paying by card?" Chen nodded. "Yes, I'll pay in full." Hearing this, the red-haired girl froze in shock. 238 million? She whispered to herself. Her boyfriend quickly reassured her, "He's just pretending. There's no way he has that kind of money in his account." She laughed in agreement. Back then, he could barely afford instant noodles for weeks just to chase me. Now he's pretending to buy a luxury car? Pathetic. The black-haired boy walked over to Chen, sneering. There's no need to put on a show, buddy. It'll only be embarrassing when your card gets declined. The glasses guy fired back. Why don't you mind your own business? If Chen can afford the car, what will you do? Smirking, the black-haired boy replied, if he can afford it, I'll call him Dad right here. But if he can't, then he'll have to call me Dad. The glasses guy immediately accepted the deal. Deal! The red-haired girl laughed mockingly. He's bluffing, she said. There's no way he can afford it. Minutes later, the saleswoman returned with Chen's card and handed him the car keys. The car is yours now, she said politely. Chen thanked her and turned toward his ex and her boyfriend. The black-haired boy was stunned, unable to process what had just happened. The red-haired girl was equally shocked. How did Chen get so rich? She muttered, confused. The glasses guy grabbed the black-haired boy by the collar and demanded, Well, aren't you going to keep your word and call him Dad? Chen intervened, stopping the glasses guy. Let it go. Don't waste time on people like this, he said calmly. As they walked out, the glasses guy turned back and smirked. You're lucky my boss is kind. If it were up to me, you wouldn't leave without calling him Dad. Embarrassed, the black-haired boy remained silent, while the red-haired girl was left speechless. As Chen drove off in his new car, the red-haired girl chased after him, shouting, Chen, wait! Hear me out! But Chen didn't stop. Watching the scene unfold, one saleswoman commented she thought she found a rich guy, but she missed out on someone with real potential. Another agreed, adding, That's just how people are. They only regret things after they've lost them. After leaving the showroom, Chen drove to Cloud's Edge restaurant, N-City's premier spot for fine dining. Arriving in his luxury car, he was greeted respectfully by the staff. He was escorted to a private room, where a waitress handed him the menu and asked what he would like to order. Chen scanned the menu and selected several dishes, including a 5,888 yuan Boston lobster and a 7,888 yuan king crab. When the food arrived, two waitresses personally fed him the dishes. The luxurious experience brought a smile to his face. Pricey, but worth it, he mused. After cooking so many meals for my lizard, it's time to enjoy the life of luxury myself. While enjoying his meal, a notification popped up on his phone. It was a message from his college advisor, reminding students that classes would resume in a week and attendance was mandatory. Seeing the message, Chen remembered that he was still a sophomore. Opening his status window, he reviewed his current stats. Constitution, 327. Spirit, 49. Talent, mind control. Traits, external aura and chi perception. Experience points increased. Skills, 8 extremities. Boxing, stepping cloud jump, and tan leg technique. All powered up. Companion, armored spiked lizard. Evolution points, 2,160 Dakar 5,000. Looking at the status screen, Chen realized that once classes began, he would have less time for his adventures. I need to earn more money quickly to help my lizard break through to the Shadow Realm, he thought, determined to make the most of his remaining time. A few days later, in the deep sea, swordfish, known as the fastest swimmers among fish, can reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, approximately 90 kilometers per hour. However, Chen's sea iguana outpaced them with ease. After racing with the swordfish, the sea iguana feasted on a delicious sailfish. Once it was full, Chen decided to resume his treasure hunting. As the sea iguana consumed the sailfish, Chen received a notification from his system, plus 10 evolution points. Chen returned to scanning the seabed, using his heightened senses to detect objects dozens of kilometers away. Unfortunately, after days of searching, he had yet to find any shipwrecks. Frustrated by the lack of results, Chen noted strange changes occurring in the world around him. Could there be secret supernatural organizations involved? He wondered. With his newfound abilities, Chen resolved to act with greater caution. The next day, Chen visited a high-end office building in N-City. Since Zhang Changshu transferred the company to him, Chen hadn't had the opportunity to visit. He was impressed. The building was situated in the busiest area of the city. Zhang had clearly spared no expense in ensuring the company had an impressive presence. Chen's company, Tianlin Marine Industries, occupied several floors of the building. Entering with his assistant, a bespectacled man, Chen noticed the receptionist, Naixin, greet the assistant warmly, though she didn't recognize Chen. The assistant instructed her to gather all the staff in the boss's office. A few minutes later, all the female employees assembled in Chen's office. The assistant introduced Chen, pointing to him and announcing, "This is your new boss, Mr. Chen." The staff, amazed, couldn't hide their surprise. Their new boss was young, handsome, and evidently wealthy. The assistant began introducing the team. When he introduced Naixin, the receptionist blushed as she greeted Chen. At that moment, a strikingly beautiful woman approached, carrying a cup of coffee. She was introduced as Su Lengyu, Chen's personal secretary. Chen, engrossed in reviewing documents, barely looked up and told her to leave the coffee on the table. Despite being a shell company, Chen was surprised by the well-equipped office, which clearly cost hundreds of thousands to maintain monthly. He realized he would need to recover more shipwreck treasures to sustain the company's operations. Chen instructed his assistant to end the introductory meeting and have everyone return to work. Before leaving, he ordered the assistant to head back to the ship and monitor operations. The assistant acknowledged the command and left promptly. Chen knew that the mind control effect on his team was stable for now, but subconscious hypnosis wasn't foolproof. He needed to ensure minimal interaction between his staff and the outside world to avoid complications. Sipping his coffee while gazing out the window, Chen received a sudden system notification, 0.7 constitution points. Then, multiple notifications flooded in. He thought to himself, using clones to hunt, while relaxing and growing stronger. This is amazing. Chen connected his mind to his sea iguana, which was hunting fish. The iguana, now able to manipulate internal energy, easily hunted large prey. This time, it targeted a massive barracuda. While barracudas are typically around 2 meters long, this one measured 4 to 5 meters, with steel-like teeth and incredible speed. Without Chen's strong external force field, the encounter might have been dangerous. The number of fierce, mutated fish in the ocean seemed to be increasing. When the sea iguana devoured the barracuda, Chen noticed its flesh was distinctly different, packed with energy. A system notification appeared. Clone devours with effort and gains 190 evolution points. Host gains 29 constitution points. The moment he received the notification, Chen felt his internal energy activate on its own. His body became noticeably more muscular as the changes took effect. Chen felt that something was off. He realized that the mutated fish he had consumed was extraordinary. It had caused his muscles and bones to enhance at a rate 10 times faster than usual. Intrigued by its effects, Chen searched for more of the fish. Unfortunately, in the vast expanse of the ocean, it seemed to be the only one of its kind. Meanwhile, at Tianlan Marine Industries, the receptionist, Naixin, turned to Su Lengyu and asked, "Do you think the boss has a significant other?" Su Lengyu smiled and replied, "Why are you asking? Planning to make a move on him?" Another girl chimed in teasingly, "Naixin, are you fangirling again?" Hearing this, Naixin blushed in embarrassment. As the team laughed, someone interrupted their conversation. "Why are you all still here?" It was Chen, preparing to leave for the day. Su Lengyu greeted him with a smile. "We still have a few things to finish up, boss." Chen, with his sharp hearing, had already picked up on their chatter from the elevator, but chose to pretend he hadn't heard anything to avoid awkwardness. Smiling, he said, "Since everyone's working so hard, dinner's on me tonight." The team cheered, their excitement palpable. Chen took them to Cloud's restaurant, a luxurious venue. Naixin couldn't help but admire Chen's $2 million car as they arrived. All the girls were awestruck by the opulent restaurant. A waitress approached to take their order, and Chen ordered for the group. The bill came to an astonishing $50,000, which Chen paid without hesitation, swiping his card as if it were nothing. The team was in shock. "Who is our boss?" they wondered. "Which wealthy family does he belong to? He's throwing money around like it's pocket change." Seeing Chen's generosity and wealth, they all thought, "With a boss like this, our future is bound to be bright." After dinner, Chen told them, "I have something to handle tonight. I'll arrange rides for everyone to get home." The team thanked him and enjoyed their meal together. After ensuring everyone got home safely, Chen drove to a deserted rocky shore. The cool sea breeze lifted Chen's spirits as he began practicing his boxing against the rocks. Despite his busy schedule, Chen hadn't neglected his training. His physique was now over 20 times stronger than that of an average person. With his punch strength exceeding 2 tons and his external force field doubling it to nearly 5 tons, Chen's raw power was astonishing. However, as his strength grew, controlling it became increasingly difficult. His footing wasn't steady, and he repeatedly lost control. This made him realize the importance of continued training to master his newfound abilities. While immersed in his training, Chen noticed a boat in the distance. He was surprised to see people in such a remote location at this hour. A group of thugs on the shore was waiting to receive the boat. The leader of the group asked the thugs on the boat, "Don't you trust us by now? We've done plenty of deals together." The thug on the boat replied cautiously, "It's not about trust. The heat is on right now." He then added, "Same rules as always. Money first, then the goods." Hiding behind a rock, Chen observed the exchange carefully. He understood that this was a D-grade deal, but the thugs were armed, so he needed to proceed with caution. The receiver's men inspected the goods and confirmed to their boss, "Top-quality stuff." Satisfied, the leader handed over the money and shook hands with the boat thug, saying, "Pleasure doing business with you." As the boat prepared to leave, the leader warned his men, "Be careful. Things are tight lately." One of the men assured him, "Don't worry, boss. We only work through single channels. Even if something goes wrong, the goods won't be traceable." Confident that no one could catch them, the thugs relaxed, unaware that Chen was watching and coming for them. Chen moved with lightning speed, landing a precise punch on one thug's neck, while kicking another at the same time. The thug's boss, stunned by Chen's sudden appearance, scrambled to pull out his gun. However, before he could aim or shoot, Chen closed the gap and delivered a devastating punch to the boss's face, sending him flying. In just 5 seconds, Chen had neutralized all 3 thugs, each succumbing instantly to the force of his blows. Chen didn't feel a shred of remorse. These men had abandoned their humanity long ago, and taking them down was, in his mind, a service to society. Out at sea, the thugs on the boat noticed something rapidly approaching them. It was Chen's sea iguana, barreling toward them at an incredible speed. Before the thugs could react, the iguana rammed the boat from below, splitting it in 2. The thugs, thrown into the water, were in utter shock. "What just hit us?" one shouted, as panic set in when they saw Chen's sea iguana, 2 meters long and resembling a sea monster. They screamed in terror, frantically swimming toward the shore while shouting, "There's a monster! Somebody help!" One by one, the sea iguana began hunting the fleeing thugs. Realizing there was no escape, one thug pulled out his gun, yelling, "We can't outrun it anyway. Let's fight back. I don't believe it can dodge a bullet." But the bullet harmlessly bounced off the iguana's tough exterior. Fear consumed the thugs as they saw their futile efforts. Before they could attempt anything else, the sea iguana attacked, swiftly taking them out. After finishing the job, the iguana grabbed the suitcase containing the goods in its jaws and returned to shore. Later that night, in his room, Chen opened the suitcase. It was filled with stacks of cash. One stack was worth 10 grand, and with 300 stacks inside, the total came to a staggering 3 million. Looking at the money, Chen thought, cash laid out in front of you feels so much more real than numbers on a bank card. The next morning, at a cafe, Chen sat with his secretary, Su Lengyu. All the men in the cafe were mesmerized by her beauty. Her cold, untouchable aura made her the dream girl for many. Yet, Su Lengyu paid no attention to the stares, instead walking over to Chen with some papers. "Boss, please sign these," she said. Hearing her address him as boss, the men around them felt a pang of jealousy. Is that her boss? He looks so young. Chen stood up, his demeanor serious. "Let's go. Back to the company. Notify everyone. Meeting time." Watching Chen's composed and commanding presence, people thought, this young man is as unshakable as a mountain. His presence is terrifying. Later, in the meeting room, Chen pointed at a graph and told his employees, "Handle every detail carefully, and you'll be the company's heroes. As long as the company's performance continues to rise, everyone will get a big bonus by year's end." As he was speaking, Chen received a voicemail from his school. The message informed him that today was the last day to register for classes, and that he was the only one left in his class who hadn't registered. Chen immediately sent a message to his teacher, apologizing and assuring them he would head over right away. Turning to his employees, Chen said, "I need to go register at school. Since there isn't much work left today, you can all leave early. Su Lengyu will handle any company matters while I'm gone." Nyexin, shocked, whispered, "The boss is still a student?" Another girl beside her added, "He's so composed. I thought he was some rich heir raised with perfect manners. The scene shifted to N University's campus. When Chen arrived in his luxury car, heads turned in astonishment. Students gathered, whispering about his arrival. "Is that Chen?" one student said, recognizing the car. Another replied, "Do you know how much that car costs?" "Over 2 million. The news spread rapidly across the campus, and soon a video of Chen arriving in his car was posted on the university's forum, with the caption, "On the last day of new student registration, a tall, rich, handsome guy shows up in a car worth over 2 million. The comments section quickly filled with reactions. "Is he single? I need to know which department he's in." "Forget it, girls. Someone like that is out of our league. I bet he's from some powerful family." Chen, unaware of the commotion he had caused, parked his car and headed straight to the registration office. A student from Chen's class recognized him and commented, "Isn't that Chen Chu? He got so handsome over the summer." Another student replied, "Who cares how handsome he is? He's driving a car worth 2 million. His family must be billionaires." Meanwhile, a blonde-haired girl in revealing clothes was scrolling through the university's campus forum. When she saw Chen's photo, she thought, "He looks so familiar." Especially those eyes, black and white like stars, radiating sharp brilliance. As she read through the comments, she noticed one that said, "He's not a freshman. He's a sophomore in the finance department. He's starting his junior year now. His name's Chen Chu." Surprised, the girl thought, "Chen is in the finance department? He's in the same year as me." After completing his registration, Chen was heading home, deep in thought. "My body and strength are improving so quickly," he realized, "but I only know 8 extremities, cloud steps, and tan leg techniques. I need to learn new skills to better control my power." While walking, Chen saw some students practicing martial arts. He thought, "Someone like that, I could squash them with a single slap." But he understood that flashy moves weren't for him. "If I want control, I just need to keep training." Instead of heading home, Chen went to Longteng Steel Company. At the reception, he told the receptionist, "I'd like to custom order some steel, about 100 tons or more." The receptionist was stunned, but maintained professionalism. "Please follow me to the VIP lounge while I contact our sales manager." Chen waited in the lounge until the manager arrived. Greeting Chen, the manager asked, "What kind of steel would you like to order?" Chen explained, "I need a steel pillar, 2 meters in diameter and 5 meters tall, and a few steel blocks weighing 1, 5, 10, and 20 tons each." After calculating, the manager replied, "The total weight is approximately 200 tons. The estimated cost is around 700,000, but the final price will depend on the finished product." "That's fine," Chen said. "Let's sign the contract." The next morning, at Zhang Changshou's makeshift dock, Chen's assistant, the bespectacled man, showed him a large building. "This entire area is your warehouse," the assistant explained. Chen nodded in approval. "You can head back. I'll look around on my own." The assistant left, and Chen wandered through the warehouse. Suddenly, he received a system notification. "Your clone has gained 8 evolution points through diligent eating. You have gained 0.8 constitution points." Reflecting on his progress, Chen thought, "There's Ming, dark, transformation, and beyond transformation. I haven't even reached the transformation stage yet. There's still a long way to go." Looking at the warehouse, he thought, "Once the steel pillar is set up here, this will be my training ground. But the maximum evolution points per day are capped at 100. So I'll need at least one more day to evolve my sea iguana. Compared to the giant lizard's progress, my body still feels too slow," Chen thought, frustrated. Meanwhile, the police had arrived at the scene where Chen had taken down the thugs the previous night. One officer recognized the receiver thug, Luo Hao, known as Big Boss Luo in the underworld. Luo Hao, who owned a bar and commanded over a dozen lackeys, had his right hand nearly severed by a blunt weapon wielded with immense force. Beside him lay Iron Lao Chi, whose chest had been crushed, killing him instantly. The police concluded that all 3 men had been killed within a minute by the same individual. Who could have such strength and speed? They wondered. While the police captain was examining the bodies on the shore, he received a wireless message. Another body had been found at sea. Back at Tianlin Marine Industries, Chen was relaxing in a massage chair when his secretary, Su Lengyue, entered. "Boss," she said, "the company has no work every day. Everyone's just playing around. Shouldn't we hand out some flyers or something?" Chen dismissed the suggestion with a calm smile. "There's no need. Business is like fishing. You just wait for the fish to bite." Su Lingyu thought, "Even though you're a rich kid, boss, Won't we go bankrupt like this? How can we wait for fish to bite if no one knows about us? Her thoughts were interrupted by Nixon entering the office. Boss, someone's here to see you. They said they've got a business deal to discuss. Hearing this, Su Lingyu was shocked. Did someone really come with money after all? A few minutes later, Nixin led a man in a white suit into the meeting room. As soon as he entered, the man asked, "Where's Zhang Laoda, the previous boss?" Chen replied, "Zhang Laoda and his people are under me now." The man, impressed, said, "You actually managed to bring Zhang Laoda to your side." Introducing himself, he added, "I'm Wang Tianhua." Chen greeted him with a smile. "Boss Wang, please sit down. Let's talk." Su Lingyu offered, "I'll make some tea." And Chen nodded for her to proceed. Once seated, Wang said, "I've got a centuries-old sunken ship, worth at least tens of millions. Can you make it happen?" With confidence, Chen replied, "Once we retrieve the goods, how do you plan to split them?" Wang said, "Since I'm providing the map, I'll take 70%, and you'll get 30%. That's the standard rate, even with international teams." Hearing this, Chen said calmly, "Then you should find an international team instead." Wang was taken aback, but didn't lose his composure. "What's your suggestion then?" Chen replied, "At least a 50-50 split. Otherwise, forget it." Wang hesitated, but knew that, with current laws, private salvage was nearly impossible. Chen was his best shot. After thinking for a moment, Wang asked, "Are you sure you can pull it off?" Chen confidently told Wang, "Guys like Zhang Laoda? I have plenty under me. If you're unsure, Boss Wang, you can come along and see for yourself." Wang nodded in agreement and extended his hand. 50-50 it is then. Pleasure working with you." Chen shook his hand firmly. "Pleasure working with you as well." Meanwhile, at the police headquarters, the captain was investigating the bodies found on the coast and in the sea. He was shocked to see exaggerated claw marks on the corpses, unable to fathom what kind of creature could have claws that large. Could it be some kind of abnormal beast? He wondered. Logging into the confidential internal dialogue system, the captain reported the multiple deaths, noting that 4 individuals at sea were suspected to have been killed in a beast attack. He attached a confidential file and soon received a reply from his superiors. Professionals will investigate the case. At Chen's company, the massive iron pillar he had ordered finally arrived. Su Lingyu stared at the towering pillar in awe. "Boss?" she asked curiously. "What's this huge iron pillar for?" Chen replied casually, "It's a sea-calming pillar. It'll be buried at the pier to stabilize the waters and hold back the sea dragon kings." Su Lingyu was amazed by his response. "He even knows about this? Boss really is extraordinary." After paying for the pillar, Chen checked his account balance. It was down to 321,800. Money just flies away, he thought. Now I'm left with so little. Later that day, Chen drove to the Bixi Garden complex, where Su Lingyu lived. She stepped out of the car and said, "Boss, sorry to trouble you again. Why don't you come upstairs for some water?" Her words carried a subtle hint, but Chen politely declined. "I have something else to do soon," he said, before driving off. As he left, Su Lingyu flushed with embarrassment. How could I be so bold to say something like that? She grew even more flustered as she remembered her underwear was still lying around on the sofa. Chen had declined the invitation because he had accidentally snapped his chopsticks during dinner earlier. "I still need more practice controlling my strength." Instead of going home, he headed to the rocky shoreline to train. He practiced punching the rocks, each strike echoing with immense force. However, he knew his power was still far from perfect. "I need to achieve mastery to fully control my abilities," he thought. Releasing his internal energy, Chen noticed that his aura shield now extended up to 30 meters, allowing him to sense the movements of the wind and grass around him. 3 days later, Chen connected with his sea iguana, which was devouring a red-eyed mutated fish. The fish granted it 210 evolution points and 21 constitution points. After eating, the sea iguana followed Wang Tianhua's ship. When the ship slowed down, Chen understood they were close to their target. Wang called, "Boss Chen, my other crew has already arrived. When should we begin?" "Tonight?" Wang replied. Chen resumed his training, gaining 15 aura control experience points. With aura enhancement, his strength multiplied significantly. That night, Wang called Chen. "I don't see your other crew yet. They're already underwater," Chen replied calmly. "Just tell me the location." Impressed, Wang gave the coordinates. 200 meters to the left of his ship, at a depth of 700-800 meters. Chen connected with his sea iguana and quickly scanned the area. However, there was nothing at the given location. "Boss Wang," Chen said, "I've scanned within an 800-meter radius, and there's nothing there." Wang was stunned. "You scanned that deep in just 20 minutes?" Wang's secretary checked the data and concluded, "The location must have shifted over hundreds of years. Try moving about a kilometer east." Wang apologized and asked Chen to check the new location. Leading his sea iguana eastward, Chen activated his external energy to scan the area. This time, he found it. A centuries-old sunken ship. Chen smiled, thinking, "I'm going to get rich." He loaded the loot onto a ladder, and Wang's men pulled it out. After examining the items, Wang's secretary reported, 8 pieces are broken, and 3 are intact. The estimated value is about 30 million, but if sold privately, we could get another 20 million. Wang called Chen. "Did you hear that, buddy? That's the situation." Chen replied, "Great. I'll leave the rest to you. Just collect the money." A few days later, Wang returned with the earnings. "The loot's total value came to 23 million, he told Chen. "We each get 11.5 million. Would you like to count it?" Wang asked. Chen waved him off. "No need. I trust you." Wang laughed heartily. "You're a straightforward guy, Chen. Next time we have info on a sunken ship, we'll be sure to contact you." As Chen surveyed the substantial amount of money before him, he thought to himself, "The financial problem is resolved, but my strength remains inadequate. I need to train until I can withstand sniper bullets and grenades before considering riskier moves." The next day at Tianlan Marine Industries, Chen arrived at the office, where Niaxin informed him, "Boss, someone submitted a resume yesterday. They claim they can bring in 200 fishing enthusiasts every month for a salary of $50,000. Chen asked her to show him the resume. After reviewing the highlights, he noticed that the applicant was a member of the Fishing Association and appeared to have extensive industry connections. However, Chen quickly identified it as a scam. "Reject it," he instructed. "This person is clearly a fraud." Curious, Niaxin inquired, "Boss, why haven't you been to the office these past few days?" Chen casually replied, "I had a major project to handle and made a few million in the process." Amazed, Niaxin exclaimed, "Boss, that's incredible." Smiling, Chen reminded her, "Didn't I promise to treat everyone once the project was completed?" "Tonight, we're going to Yunshang Tianwai to celebrate." Hearing this, Niaxin jumped with excitement. Meanwhile, another employee standing nearby thought, "This workplace is amazing. Minimal workload, great pay, and the boss treats us so well. It's a far cry from my friend's company, where the manager even tried to harass her." She couldn't help but wonder, if the boss ever made a move on me, would I say yes? That evening, Chen treated his employees to dinner at Yunshang Tianwai. During the meal, Niaxin remarked, "I had no idea sea fishing was so lucrative. Just a few days of fishing trips, and you've made millions." Chen smiled. "I got lucky and caught a bluefin tuna. Just one fish is worth hundreds of thousands." As the team relaxed, a man approached Chen and politely asked, "Are you Mr. Chen, the owner of Tianlan Marine Industries?" The man introduced himself as Li Tianrui, Deputy General Manager of Tianhong Group and a close associate of Wang Tianhua. Surprised by this unexpected encounter, Chen listened as Li Tianrui explained that he wanted to organize a deep-sea fishing trip and proposed a potential partnership. "That sounds interesting," Chen replied. "As long as it's profitable, I'm open to collaboration. Let's discuss this at my office tomorrow." Before leaving, Su Lengyu handed manager Li Chen's business card. Li accepted it and said, "I'll see you tomorrow." After Li left, one of the employees commented, "I didn't expect him to be so young." Niaxin asked, "Is Tianhong Group really that influential?" Her colleague responded, "Their chairman is worth tens of billions, far richer than anyone in N City. Given that manager Li shares the same surname, he's likely a relative." Niaxin was astonished, while Su Lengyu reflected on the coincidence of dining alongside someone from such a powerful family. Later that evening, while remotely exploring the ocean through his sea iguana, Chen discovered 2 massive fish. Amazed by the coincidence, he thought, "I was just talking about a fish worth 10 million, and now I've found 2. Moments later, his sea iguana devoured one of the fish and transported the other to the warehouse. Staring at the enormous catch, Chen mused, a fish worth over 10 million, yet its meat isn't particularly remarkable. Still, it's practically money swimming in the ocean. All he needed now was a buyer. The following day, while training with 2-ton dumbbells, Chen received a call from Su Lengyu. Young Master Li has been waiting at the office for some time, she informed him. I'm on my way, Chen responded, and promptly headed to Tianlan Marine Industries. During their meeting, Manager Li revealed, I've acquired the exact location of a shipwreck. Chen, intrigued, asked, with the immense wealth of Tianhong Group, why are you personally interested in shipwrecks? Manager Li smiled. No one ever thinks they have too much money, he said. After negotiating the terms, they agreed on a 50-50 split of the recovered goods. Chen noticed how easily Manager Li agreed to the arrangement, and suspected there was more to his motives. However, he chose not to address it directly, and shifted the topic. Do you know anyone involved in high-end seafood restaurants? I recently caught a 4-meter bluefin tuna. Manager Li appeared impressed. Even bluefin tuna is within your reach? That's incredible, he remarked. Manager Li took out his phone and informed Chen, actually, I do know someone who owns a seafood restaurant. How about we grab lunch there? I'll introduce you. Later, after their meeting with the restaurant owner, Chen returned to his warehouse. The restaurant owner eagerly stepped out of his car and rushed into the warehouse to inspect the fish. Smiling, Chen said, Don't rush. The fish isn't going anywhere. It's right over there. A worker carefully examined the fish and reported to the restaurant owner, the quality is impeccable. Every aspect meets A-grade standards. Impressed, the restaurant owner exclaimed, Mr. Chen, this fish is truly top-notch. Since we're all friends here, how about a flat price of 7 million? What do you think? Chen agreed to the deal, considering the price fair. His secretary, Su Lengyu, was astonished. A single fish sold for 7 million. It's unbelievable, she remarked. After receiving the payment, Chen decided to celebrate. He took Su Lengyu to the Marriott International Shopping Mall, saying, Since we had a great haul today, it's time to splurge a little. Su Lengyu was in awe as they arrived. The mall was a gathering place for the world's top luxury brands. Chen went on a shopping spree, buying various high-end items. Observing him, Su Lengyu thought, This is the epitome of indulgence. The boss earns money far too easily. Meanwhile, the mall staff were delighted, thinking, a big spender has arrived. After their shopping trip, Chen returned to his dock warehouse, moving all the purchased items inside. Su Lengyu couldn't believe how much he had spent. Boss, your watch alone is worth 2 million, and you've bought over 2 million worth of luxury goods for me as well, she exclaimed. Inside the warehouse, Chen mentioned, I want to buy a villa. It needs to be big and spacious, preferably in a quiet location. Something around 30 million should suffice. Keep an eye out for me, will you? Su Lengyu nodded and left for the day. Once alone, Chen connected to his sea iguana. Almost immediately, he noticed 2 massive submarines passing by. He sighed in disappointment, thinking, I'm not strong enough yet. Otherwise, I'd tear those submarines apart. As he roamed the deep sea, Chen discovered a sea cave. At the entrance, he spotted massive claw marks, which set off alarms in his mind. There's something dangerous down there, he thought, and decided to avoid it. No need to take unnecessary risks. Unbeknownst to him, the creature inside the cave was a giant crab. The moment it noticed Chen's sea iguana, it emerged and launched an attack. Chen maneuvered quickly, dodging the assault while warning, Don't think I'm easy to mess with. As the crab attacked with its enormous claws, Chen realized its power was far greater than the mutated ribbonfish he had encountered earlier. The monster's force exceeded 10 tons. The sea iguana used its agility to evade the relentless strikes, but now it was Chen's turn to retaliate. Channeling his internal energy to its fullest, Chen dodged the crab's claws and delivered a powerful blow to its main body. The crab collapsed instantly, lifeless. Staring at the creature's massive form, Chen thought, This big guy won't be finished in one go. I'll need to absorb it slowly. As the sea iguana began devouring the giant crab, Chen disconnected from it and started researching reports on unusual marine phenomena over recent years. He couldn't shake the concern growing within him. The giant ribbonfish, the mutated triggerfish, and now this enormous crab all hinted at something extraordinary. Chen was increasingly certain that the world was undergoing a significant transformation. While searching online, he came across a report about an M-country nuclear submarine that vanished at a depth of 600 meters in the Pacific, allegedly attacked by an unidentified giant sea creature. Further digging revealed another case. A nuclear submarine in the Arctic collided with an underwater iceberg, killing all 127 crew members. Both incidents had occurred within the past 2 years. Chen noticed a disturbing pattern. The deeper the sea, the more formidable these unknown creatures seemed to become. Meanwhile, his sea iguana continued feasting on the giant crab. A system notification popped up. You have received 290 evolution points and 29 base body stats. After the meal, Chen observed that the sea iguana's body had grown to a massive 18 meters. Furthermore, Chen's own physical stats had increased significantly, with his bone structure, muscle strength, and overall physique reaching an entirely new level. As he practiced boxing, Chen found that punching an iron pole no longer caused him any pain. His newfound strength left him marveling. Not even a handgun can scratch me now. With this natural armor and my reaction speed, ordinary bullets wouldn't even leave a dent. The next day, Chen decided to visit the Xinhua bookstore to purchase some books. The world isn't as simple as I once thought, he mused. Continuous learning is always the right choice. While browsing, a girl noticed him and whispered to her friend, "Look at how handsome he is." Her friend teased, "Then go ask for his contact info." Embarrassed, she hesitated and ultimately did nothing. After spending some time at the bookstore, Chen returned home, where he retrieved 2 martial arts books his father had given him. His father always said, "Continuous learning is the key to improvement." Chen went to his warehouse to practice the techniques. Despite his progress, he realized that mastering Bajiquan and Xingyiquan, though seemingly straightforward, was no easy task. While practicing, his phone rang. It was Manager Li. "Mr. Chen, we've arrived at the site," Manager Li said. "All right," Chen replied. "Send me the coordinates, and my team will be underwater within half a day." A few hours later, Chen connected his mind to the sea iguana and reached the coordinates provided by Manager Li. Upon arrival, he spotted a box filled with gold. Excited, Chen called Manager Li. "We've found gold and some shattered porcelain." Hearing this, Manager Li asked, "Did you find a special box? If you do, everything else on the shipwreck is yours." Chen agreed and began searching. The gold alone was worth over 20 million. But after a few minutes of searching, Chen discovered a small, unique-looking box. When he opened it, however, all he found was a pile of black mud. Curious but unconcerned, Chen handed the box to Manager Li. Manager Li eagerly opened the box, but his expression turned to despair when he saw the contents. "The elixirs! They're supposed to be here!" he exclaimed, tears in his eyes. The box that once held priceless treasures now contained only mud. Meanwhile, on the coastline, police discovered several dead bodies. A forensic officer reported to the deputy chief, "Just like the previous victims, all their blood is gone, and their muscles are dried out like jerky. But the time of death was only about 10 hours ago." The deputy chief frowned. "All the victims are thugs, physically strong, and with no family ties. Something doesn't add up. Write up a report and shut down all entertainment venues in the city immediately. We'll wait for higher-ups to investigate." Despite their efforts, the killings continued. Later that night, more men were found dead, their blood drained and their bodies desiccated, just like the others. The mystery deepened, and the city grew increasingly tense as an unknown terror lurked in the shadows. The deputy chief was shocked to discover more deaths, despite all entertainment venues being shut down. He couldn't comprehend how 4 more people had died under these circumstances. Days passed, yet the mysterious killings continued. Meanwhile, Chen continued his intense training in the warehouse. After several days of practice, he made significant progress in mastering Bajiquan and Xingyiquan. Upon completing his training, a system notification appeared. "You have comprehended a new martial art technique. Please name it." Chen decided to call it Explosive Fist, as it combined Bajiquan's 8 extreme stance with Xingyiquan's half-step Bengquan. 1 step, 1 explosion. Fists like cannonballs, he thought. Elsewhere, a fishing boat was operating in the deep sea. The owner was ecstatic, having finally caught a large haul after tirelessly chasing the school of fish. He remained cautious, though, as the investment for this venture had been enormous, with a single fishing net costing millions. Suddenly, alarms began ringing. A worker reported that there was a hole in the middle of the net, and the fish were escaping. Shocked, the owner ordered the crew to pull the net up quickly. Moments later, the worker informed him that the sonar detector showed nothing, but the net wouldn't budge. Chen's sea iguana was inside the net, consuming dozens of fish with each bite. Chen, connected to the sea iguana, was thoroughly satisfied with the feast. He wasn't worried about being detected, knowing that his water affinity rendered sonar detectors useless. After eating hundreds of fish, Chen instructed, "Time to head home now that I'm full." The sea iguana swam away, leaving the owner and crew to retrieve their damaged net. They were horrified to find a massive hole in it. The owner broke down, lamenting, "Why are all my nets destroyed and my fish gone? What kind of monster or divine being could be behind this?" That evening, while Chen was relaxing by the dockside, he received a call from Manager Li. "I'm heading back to N City," Li said. "To show my gratitude, I'll take you to a great place tonight." Chen laughed and replied, "If young Master Li invites me, I can't refuse." That night, Chen accompanied Manager Li to the Mengluo Elegant Pavilion, a prestigious establishment. Upon arrival, a beautiful woman in traditional Chinese attire welcomed them warmly. Manager Li asked her, "Has anyone booked the Yunxiao Hall?" Smiling, she replied, "It's always reserved for you." The Yunxiao Hall was a lavish and exclusive space filled with exquisite decorations and an array of stunning women. Some danced gracefully to entertain them, while others stood by, ready to attend to their needs. Taking in the luxurious atmosphere, Chen mused, "No wonder kings neglect their duties. Places like this are perfect for indulgence." After spending the evening enjoying the ambiance, Chen left the pavilion and headed home in his car. However, as he drove, he noticed someone following him at high speed. His internal energy activated, heightening his senses. Chen realized that the aura of his pursuer felt eerily familiar. "This reminds me of the night I was being stalked by that giant lizard," he thought, smiling to himself. "Is it a monster or a ghost?" The thought excited him. It had been a while since he'd had a proper challenge. As Chen sped along, a luxury car approached him, and the couple inside called out, "Do you want to spar with us?" Annoyed, Chen ignored them. He suspected that the one following him might stop if too many people got involved. To shake them off, Chen accelerated, making a sharp and dangerous turn toward the seacoast. Seeing his reckless maneuver, the couple halted their car, shocked. "Is he trying to kill himself?" they wondered aloud. After leaving the couple behind, Chen didn't slow down, continuing his high-speed drive toward the seacoast. At such a speed, even the fastest car couldn't keep up with him. However, Chen was surprised to see that the one following him was still close behind. This isn't an ordinary pursuer. When Chen reached the seaside, where no one else was around, he stopped his car and stepped out. He called out, "Come out! I'm not a bad guy." To his surprise, a girl emerged from behind a tree. It was the same woman who had welcomed him and Manager Li at the Mengluo Elegant Pavilion. Smiling, she said, "What a funny way to speak, big brother. I was just bathing by the sea, and someone took my clothes. Could you fetch me something to wear?" Chen smirked. "You want clothes? Sure, I'll get you some right now." Without hesitation, he charged toward her and delivered a full-power punch to her face. However, what he saw behind the tree shocked him. The girl's body dissolved into fog. When the fog cleared, a terrifying female monster emerged. Noticing Chen's strong and rich life force, the monster immediately attacked. "I really want to eat you," she snarled. Surprised by the sudden assault, Chen dodged and asked, "What are you?" The monster replied with a laugh, "I'm human too, just a more perfect version. Eating you will be like consuming hundreds of healthy, energetic people. It'll be enough to complete the first stage of my evolution." To Chen's shock, the monster used internal energy similar to his own and launched a series of attacks. Chen evaded them with quick movements, circling behind her. Smirking, he said, "You want to eat me? Let's see if you've got what it takes." The monster, startled by Chen's speed, couldn't anticipate what came next. Chen unleashed a full-power punch, enhanced with his internal energy, striking her with devastating force. The impact destroyed the ground around them and sent the monster flying. She crashed to the ground, severely injured, unable to comprehend how Chen, who lacked the aura of an awakened being, could possess such power. Desperate, the monster tried to escape by hiding among the trees. Chen, however, began systematically destroying every tree. Cornered, she fused her body with rocks for protection, but Chen noticed that each time he attacked her attachments, Her aura weakened. Recognizing this as her weakness, Chen used it to his advantage. After a relentless battle, the monster collapsed on the ground. Clinging to life, Chen stood over her. Fusing with tree trunks and rocks is a clever survival tactic, but you ran into the wrong opponent, he said. He offered her a deal. Answer a few questions, and I'll give you a quick death. The monster laughed weakly. Do I look like someone afraid of dying? She gazed at the moonlit sky. What a beautiful moonlight. It's a shame I won't see it again, but that's fine. I've already avenged myself, she revealed. If I'd had just one more month, I could have completed my shadow transformation. By then, even a war god wouldn't scare me, but instead, I ran into someone like you in a plain old city. With those final words, her body turned to dust and disappeared. As she perished, Chen received a system notification. You have killed a corruptor and gained 10 attribute points. Confused, Chen wondered what a corruptor was and why it awarded him attribute points. Another notification followed, explaining attribute points can enhance skills, strengthen weapons, and improve abilities. They can also unlock special abilities like lightning, ice, fire, and more. Realizing the potential, Chen smiled. With these attribute points, my sea iguana could truly become a real-life Godzilla. Chen returned to his warehouse and began researching corruptors and awakeners, but he found no relevant information. He concluded that the authorities had likely blocked access to such details. Undeterred, he thought, I may be too weak now, but once my physique surpasses 10,000, no one will be able to stop me. While deep in thought, another system notification appeared, prompting him to choose an element to enhance. The options included wind, fire, water, earth, lightning, light, and dark. As his current physique was insufficient, only a basic element could be selected. Chen immediately chose lightning, as he had already decided beforehand. Using the attribute points, Chen acquired lightning mastery and gained 1 mental stat. Excited, he tested his new ability and found he could generate small sparks of thunder between his fingers. Though it was only a beginner-level skill, Chen was thrilled and embraced his progress. Checking his status window, Chen noted the following. Level 1. Physique, 465. Mental control, 57. Techniques. External chi, beginner. Ki sense, beginner. Skills, collapsing punch, beginner. Sky step, intermediate. Spring kick, intermediate. Abilities, lightning mastery, beginner. Attribute, points, 0.0. He also observed the status of his clone, the scaled thorn lizard, which had evolved twice. It was already a mature beast, aiming to become a beast lord. Its current stats included evolution points, 3,190 out of 5,000. Abilities, observation, haki. Armament, haki. Talents, water affinity, lightning mastery. Seeing the potential for improvement, Chen was intrigued by the fact that even lightning mastery had experience points and could be improved through training. Later, Chen connected to his sea iguana and noticed a huge fish in the distance. The iguana attacked the fish with incredible speed, and to Chen's amazement, the attack carried traces of lightning power. After being hit by the sea iguana's lightning attack, the giant fish died instantly. It was another mutated sea beast, no less dangerous than the giant spider Chen had encountered previously. When the sea iguana consumed the fish, it gained a staggering 980 evolution points. Chen was astonished to realize that the sea iguana now possessed lightning mastery, which was even stronger than his own. The police deputy chief was at the airport to receive 2 agents from the Special Affairs Bureau. A man in a black suit introduced himself as Huang Junfeng and expressed his gratitude for the deputy chief's cooperation. The other man, dressed in a white suit, introduced himself as Nangong Jian, the lead investigator for Case 907. Take us to the body, Nangong Jian instructed. The deputy chief led them to the mortuary, where he pointed to the corpse. This person died last night, he explained. It's the only body we found, but for the past 4 days, 4 people have been mysteriously dying every night. Huang Junfeng, the man in black, activated a spiritual aura and directed it at the corpse. To the shock of the deputy chief, the monster's aura that killed the man appeared briefly before vanishing entirely. Nangong Jian observed this and remarked, "The killer is dead." Surprised, Huang Junfeng asked, "Are you certain?" Meanwhile, Chen was at his warehouse, practicing his techniques. Despite his rapid power growth, he struggled to control it. He recalled how, just last night, when dropping off Niaxin, she had invited him upstairs for tea. Chen had politely declined, citing prior plans. He couldn't bring himself to accept the invitation, as he feared breaking her couch just by sitting or, worse, accidentally harming her. After completing his practice, Chen decided to look for a new home. The next day, a broker showed him a villa and explained its features. Main building, 560 square meters. Front yard, 70 square meters. Backyard, 200 square meters. Pool hall, 80 square meters. The broker added that the villa was fully furnished with furniture, worth over $1 million, and the total price was $34 million. Chen offered $25 million, promising to pay in full. As he prepared to transfer the money, his phone rang. The caller, sounding frantic, pleaded for help, saying they had seen a monster. The call ended abruptly, leaving Chen surprised and concerned. On a rooftop in N City, Huang Junfeng and Nangong Jian surveyed the area. Huang commented, "There's been no unusual activity since last night. The corruptor is truly dead. But it's strange. Such a semi-ethereal being shouldn't have been something a normal person could handle." He turned to Nangong Jian. "Should we stay and investigate further? We might as well check out the city's bustle while we're here." Nangong Jian dismissed the idea. "Use this time to train. When the apocalypse hits, you don't want to be cannon fodder." "Apocalypse?" Huang asked, startled. "Our professor predicts the next spatial fluctuation will be 10 times stronger than 20 years ago," Nangong Jian explained. "The most urgent task is to strengthen our capabilities across the board. Only through preparation can we repay the country for nurturing us." While exploring the deep sea through his sea iguana, Chen discovered a valuable find. However, earlier disturbances had stirred up too much sand, causing several porcelain items to break. Frustrated, Chen surfaced to a cafe to research the value of his haul. To his delight, he found that one Song Dynasty porcelain piece alone could be worth millions, possibly even tens of millions. Unfortunately, his carelessness had destroyed several pieces that could have been worth over 100 million altogether. While Chen was researching, a commotion broke out. A waitress was shouting at a black-haired customer, accusing him of grabbing her. The man retorted, "Don't accuse me of something I didn't do." He then smirked and added, "But since you've accused me, should I grab something for real now?" Another customer intervened, chastising the black-haired man. "How can you be so shameless? I saw you clearly." Unbothered, the man sneered. "So what if you did? If you're upset, try hitting me." The frightened waitress tried to leave, but before she could, Chen stood up and confronted the man. "I've never met someone as arrogant as you," Chen said coldly. The black-haired man laughed. "Well, now you've met me. Not happy? Then hit me."